Hello friends, welcome back to the HSC Coach. Today we are going to discuss a topic that is critical for every workplace, every industry and every individual, that is fire safety. Just imagine this, a small spark, a minor electrical fault or a moment of negligence, and within seconds the situations can turn into a major disaster. That is why fire safety is not just about following rules, it is about protecting lives, property and the environment. In this video we will cover fire safety from basic to advanced level in a simple and practical way. We will understand what are the basic principles of fire, the concept of the fire triangles and fire tetrahedron, different types and classes of fire, common causes of workplace fires, how to perform a fire risk assessment, fire preventions and protections measures, fire detections and alarm systems, proper use of firefighting equipment, and most importantly the role of employees and management during fire emergencies. Whether you are a safety officer, a fresher or working in any industry, this video is essential for you. Always remember, fire accidents do not come with a warning, but preparedness is always in your control. So let's get started with all about fire safety. Before we move ahead, a quick note. If you are preparing for safety certifications like NEBOSH IGC, NEBOSH IDIP, IOSH, OSHA, ASP or CSP, you can download my detailed ebook designed in simple exam focus format. These ebooks cover key concepts, practical examples and important questions to help you clear your exams and build a strong safety career. Check the link in the descriptions to get your copy. To understand fire safety, first we need to understand how fire starts. Fire is a chemical reaction known as combustion. For combustions to occur, three elements are required, which is heat, fuel and oxygen. This concept is called the fire triangles. If any one of these elements is removed, the fire will stop. Let's understand with examples. If we remove heat, for example by using water to cool the fire will be extinguished. If we remove oxygen, for example by using foam or CO2 to smoother the fire will stop. If we remove fuel, the fire cannot continue because there is nothing left to burn. So remember, fire triangle consists of heat, fuel and oxygen. Later, this concept was expanded into the fire tetrahedron by adding a fourth element, which is the chemical chain reactions. So now, for fire to continue, four elements are required, which is heat, fuel, oxygen and chemical chain reactions. When we fight fire, we break one of these elements. This basic understanding is very important. Now let's talk about the classes of fire. Not all fires are the same. Different fuels create different types of fires. That is why fires are divided into classes. The first one is class A fire, which is fires involving solid materials such as wood, paper, cloth and plastic. Second is class B fire, which means fires involving flammable liquids such as petrol, diesel, paints and solvents. Third is class C fire, fires involving flammable gases such as LPG and propane. Fourth is class D fire, means fires involving combustible metals such as magnesiums and sodiums. Fifth is electrical fires, means fire involving live electrical equipment. And last one is cooking oil fires, means fires involving cooking oils and fats commonly seen in commercial kitchens. One important point to remember, if you use the wrong extinguisher, the fire can become more dangerous. For example, if you use water on a petrol fire, the liquid will spread and the fire will increase. So, identifying the correct fire class is very important. Now, let's understand how fires start in the workplace. What are the common causes of workplace fires? Some common causes include electrical fires, overloaded circuits, poor housekeeping, hot work such as welding and cutting, improper storage of flammable materials, smoking in prohibited areas. Let's understand with an example. If an electrical panel is not maintained properly, wiring is loose and cardboard boxes are stored nearby, then a short circuit can easily start a fire. That is why understanding causes is very important. It is the first step of prevention. Now let's talk about the fire risk assessment. Fire risk assessment is a systematic process where we identify fire hazards, evaluate risks, and implement control measures. It generally follows 5 steps. The first one is identify fire hazards. The second one is identify people at risk. Third one is evaluate and reduce risks. Fourth one is record findings, and fifth is review regularly. The main objective is to prevent fire and ensure safe evacuations. Let's understand with the practical examples, with a warehouse examples. The step one is identify hazards. So we have taken the examples of warehouse. So ignition sources in warehouse, that is electrical panels, welding work. The fuel sources is cardboard boxes, wooden pallets, packaging materials, and oxygen is naturally present in air. Here we must ensure heat and fuel are not placed together. The second step is identify people at risk. Now we have taken the examples of warehouse, so we have to find out the peoples who are at risk in the warehouse. So workers in storage area, forklift operators, visitors, maintenance staff, contractors, these are the peoples are highly risky. And special attention you have to give us to vulnerable persons also, that is disabled workers, pregnant workers, night shift workers. Now let's move to the step 3, which is evaluate risks. Now we have taken the examples of warehouse, so we will continue for that. So how we can evaluate the risks in warehouse? We check likelihood and severity, then decide control measures such as removing waste materials, proper storage of flammable goods, installing fire detection system, providing fire extinguisher, training workers. Examples control like keep flammable liquids away from ignition sources, implement hot work permit systems, install smoke detectors. These measures help in reducing fire risks effectively. Now comes step 4, which is record, plan and train. All the findings must be properly recorded. Whatever observations or findings we get during the risk assessment, it is important to document them. We should also prepare an emergency plan. Employees must be aware of evacuation procedures, and for that proper training is required. Let's understand this with the warehouse example. Display evacuations routes clearly, conduct regular fire drills, assign fire wardens. Without training, the system will not be effective. This is very important to remember. We are continuing with the warehouse example so that you can clearly understand how to implement these 5 steps on site. Now the last step is review and update. Fire risk assessment is not something you do once and forget. It must be reviewed and updated regularly. Now the question is, when should we review it? When there is a change in site layout, when new materials are introduced, when a fire incidents occur, and in that situations you can review your risk assessment. Let's take the warehouse examples again. If new flammable chemicals are stored in the warehouse, then it becomes compulsory to update the risk assessment, because earlier these chemicals were not included. Now we must update the assessment, identify new hazards and define the precautions required. All these details must be recorded properly in the risk assessment. So in this way, all 5 steps should now be clear to you. Now let's talk about the fire prevention measures. Fire prevention simply means stopping the fire before it starts. Always remember, prevention is better than firefighting. If fire never starts, there will be no damage. So what are the control measures? First is proper housekeeping. If waste materials like paper, cardboard, oily rags are scattered in the workplace, they act as fuel. Poor housekeeping means unnecessary fuel is available. Good housekeeping helps us to control the fuel elements of the fire triangle. Second is safe storage of flammable materials. Flammable liquids and gases should be stored properly in designated areas and containers. They must be kept away from ignition sources. For example, storing petrol near an electrical panel is extremely dangerous. Third is regular electrical maintenance. Electrical faults are a major cause of fire. Loose wiring, overloaded circuits and damaged cables can act as ignition sources. So regular inspections and maintenance are very important. Next is the hot work permit system. Activities like welding, cutting and grinding generate heat. These are called hot work. The hot work permit system ensures the surrounding area is safe, flammable materials are removed, fire extinguishers are available. So this system must always be implemented wherever hot work is carried out. Next is no smoking policy. Smoking area should be clearly defined. Smoking must be strictly prohibited in restricted areas. Signboards should be displayed to indicate no smoking zones, because smoking in the wrong area can easily start a fire. Next is proper ventilations. Ventilation prevents accumulations of flammable vapors and reduces explosion risks. So maintaining proper ventilation is essential. Next is training and awareness. If workers do not have knowledge about fire hazards, the system will fail. Training creates awareness, improves knowledge and develops safe behavior. Always remember, if you remove one element of the fire triangle, you can prevent fire. For example, controlling ignition sources means removing heat. Now let's talk about the fire protection measures. Now let's assume that fire has already started. Now our goal is to reduce damage. This is where fire protection comes in. The aim of fire protection is to minimize fire spread and damage. There are two main types: passive fire protections and active fire protections. Let's understand what is the passive fire protections. Passive fire protections includes structural features that are permanently installed in a building. They automatically slow down the spread of fire and do not require activations. Examples include fire resistance wall, fire doors, fire compartments, fire resistance coatings. Let's understand with an example. If a fire starts in one room and a proper fire door is installed, the fire will not easily spread to another room because the fire door acts as a barrier. Passive systems are always present. They provide silent protections. Now let's talk about the active fire protections. Active fire protection system needs to be activated either manually or automatically. Examples include fire alarm, sprinkler system, fire extinguisher, smoke detectors. For example, a sprinkler system detects heat and automatically releases water to suppress the fire. Active system helps in detections, alert and control. Always remember, for effective fire safety, both passive and active systems are essentials. Now let's talk about the means of escape and emergency procedures. In a fire situation, the most important thing is safe evacuations. If a fire occurs in a building and the escape routes is blocked, the situations can become life-threatening. So, proper means of escape must be available. Means of escape simply means the route we use to safely exit from the area where the fire has occurred. This route must be clear and unobstructed, clearly marked, well lit, available in sufficient numbers. For example, in a building, there should be at least 2 or more escape routes. Exit doors must be visible and no material should be stored in front of them. Emergency lighting must also be available. Now let's talk about the emergency procedures. Emergency procedures should include raising the alarm, calling emergency services, defining evacuation routes, assembly points, roll call system. Conducting fire drills is very important. Drills helps workers understand that they should not panic and must follow the designated evacuation route. Now let's talk about the fire detections and alarm system. Early detection always save lives. If fire is detected in an early stage, evacuations and control become much easier. Fire detection system identify fire and trigger alarms. Let's look at different types. The first one is smoke detectors. Smoke detectors detect smoke particles in the air. There are two main types. The first one is ionization smoke detectors and second one is photoelectric smoke detectors. What is these ionization smoke detectors? Ionization smoke detectors which detect small particles from flaming fires, and photoelectric smoke detectors which detect larger particles from smoldering fires. These are commonly installed in offices and corridors. Now let's talk about the heat detectors. Heat detectors react to temperature increase. The common types are fixed temperature detectors and rate of rise detectors. Fixed temperature detectors which activate at a set temperatures, and rate of rise detectors means which activate when temperature rises rapidly. These are commonly used in kitchen and boiler rooms. Third is flame detectors. Flame detectors detect ultraviolet or infrared radiations. They are used in high risk areas such as chemical plants. Now let's talk about the fire alarm system. Fire alarm system alert occupants. They include manual call point, sounders and sirens, control panels. For example, when someone presses a manual call point, the alarm sounds and evacuations begins. Regular testing and maintenance are essentials to ensure proper working. Now let's talk about the firefighting equipment. Different extinguishers are used for different classes of fire. Choosing the correct extinguisher is very important. So the first one is water extinguishers. Water extinguisher used for class A fire such as wood and paper, works by cooling the fire. Never use on electricals or flammable liquid fires. The second one is foam fire extinguishers, which is used for class A and class B fires, which forms a blanket over liquid and removes oxygen, suitable for petrol fires. The third one is CO2 fire type of fire extinguishers, which is used for electrical fires and class B fires, which displays oxygens and smoother the fire. The fourth one is dry powder extinguishers, which we can use for class A, class B and class C fires. Also we can use on electrical fires, known as versatile extinguishers, which breaks the chemical chain reactions. We commonly use in workshops, but reduces visibility in enclosed spaces. The fifth one is wet chemical extinguishers, which we can use for cooking oil and fat fires, which forms a soap like layer and prevents reignitions. Never use water on oil fires as it can cause violent splashing and spread the fire. Next is fire blankets, made of fire resistance materials, and which can be used to smoother the small fires or wrap around persons on fire, not suitable for large fires. And next one is fixed firefighting systems. Examples include like sprinkler systems, gas suppression system, foam flooding systems. These systems control fire at an early stage. Now let's understand the past technique for using a portable fire extinguishers. P means pull the pin, A means aim at the base of fire, S means squeeze the handle, and last S means sweep from side to side. Now important safety point is only trained employees should attempt to fight small fires. They must know which extinguishers to use, how to use it. If a person is not trained, they should not attempt firefighting. If the fire becomes large, evacuations must be the priority. Do not try to fight the fire in that situations. Now let's talk about the role of employees in fire system. This is a very important point. Fire safety is not just the responsibility of the safety officer. On many sites, people think that if a fire occurs, it is only the safety person's responsibility. That is not correct. Fire safety is everyone's responsibility. If 200 people are working at a workplace, then all 200 people share this responsibility. Now, you must understand what are the role of employees. So, what should employees do? The first, they must follow fire safety procedures. If the company has no smoking policy, it must be strictly followed. If flammable storage areas are restricted, unnecessary entry must be avoided. Second, they must keep escape routes clear. Never store materials in front of exit doors. In real life, many accidents become serious because people cannot reach the exit in time. Third, they must report hazards. If any employee notices damaged wiring or missing fire extinguisher, it must be reported immediately. Delay can be dangerous. Fourth, they must participate in fire drills. During fire drills, employees learn how to respond in emergencies and what precautions to take. Fifth, they should use equipment only if trained. Using a fire extinguisher may look simple, but improper use can be dangerous. Only trained employees should attempt to extinguish small fires. If the fire is large, they must focus on evacuations. Now let's understand the responsibility of management. Management must provide proper training, conduct fire risk assessment, provide sufficient equipment, prepare clear emergency plans. If management does not provide training or equipment, it is unfair to expect employees to respond effectively. Fire safety is teamwork, it is not the responsibility of a single person. So everyone, this was our complete overview on fire safety. I hope this video helped you understand how to prevent fires, identify risks and respond safely during an emergency. Always remember, safety is not an option, it is a responsibility. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share and subscribe to the HSC channel for more HSC content. I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe and stay alert.